time, I'm guessing, or
for
like recovery?
I haven't, like, if you look at like even me attending the gym since I've had COVID,
Yeah.
I haven't been like as energetic.
Wow.
And so Aaron was like, I think you've long COVID, so you should do these like.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. Okay, are we?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we should have enough. Are you doing this? You don't have to. You've done it before. Okay. Okay. Hello, you guys. Awesome. Thank you for joining us for my pacing clinic. This is a clinic that I did about 1 or 2 years ago, and I'm happy to be redoing it. I think it's really worthwhile since during a lot of WODs and classes, sometimes we don't spend as much time thinking about, right, the monostructural movements, the running, the biking, the rowing. That's typically the stuff that we use in terms of our warm-ups, but sometimes we don't get to really focus on them as much. So I'm happy that you guys were all able to be here. We're going to be using our bikes today. And the reason for that is because I want us to be able to use the screens. We're going to be looking a lot at our cadence today in terms of finding, hey, where is the right spot for us based on what the stimulus of the WOD is, right? So I wrote this out just as like a little bit of a background. So our goal, leaving here feeling more confident in knowing how to attack a WOD and choose the right pace depending on the prescribed stimulus, right? There are WODs where there's a buy-in where it's 50, 60 calories on the bike. We don't want to go into that thinking, I'm going to hit 70 cadence the entire time, and then 10 seconds in be like, I've made a mistake, a very big mistake, right? So hoping that we can all have a little bit more of an idea of where our pace is in our toolbox, and then as well as when you have a starting point that you know about, you know how you can improve on it, right? Just by increasing our cadence and being able to hold on to it for longer sets of time. So our data, because I'm very data driven, as is CrossFit, right? We're always keeping score, taking track of our reps. We have benchmark WODs that we go back to see how we've improved. So our data today will be looking at our heart rate as well as on a scale of 1 to 10, how each different chunk of movement feels. And then a little bit of background, right? In terms of endurance, we can increase our aerobic endurance, which is for steady or longer term training, right? And that's where we're using oxygen. And we can increase our aerobic endurance just over time as our body adapts to more efficiently use oxygen. Whereas with anaerobic endurance, which is where you're in a state where there's not as much oxygen available because we're pushing a lot harder, we're looking at increasing our lactate threshold heart rate. So our lactate threshold heart rate is where it's the lactate threshold is the heart rate where the speed that your body is producing lactate is greater than the speed that you can remove it. And we produce lactate through glycolysis. So we have 3 different metabolic pathways that use glucose and oxygen in order to create usable energy in the form of ATP, which is what allows our muscles to contract, right, and to move. So we have glycolysis in the Krebs cycle, and these produce a lot less ATP than the electron transport chain, or ETC, which produces a lot more ATP. So we want to use the one that produces more energy for us to use, right? However, we do have a limit at which the electron transport chain can produce as much ATP. And then when we hit that limit, our body ramps up glycolysis, which in anaerobic environments, when we're pushing our intensity a lot, we're breathing really heavy, will produce lactate, which creates an acidic environment, and at some point we are no longer to maintain that, intensity or that amount of exertion, and therefore that's when we gas out, right? We've all been in a WOD where we get to a certain point and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I can't move. Like, I was fine a minute ago, feeling way too good, and now I can barely jump on the bike, right? I can't hold even half the cadence I was holding. So we're trying to play around with, okay, what is that threshold for us? What we're going to do today is I'll warm you guys up, then we're going to try to find an idea of where our steady state is at on the bike, get a good idea of what that cadence looks like. Then we'll go into practicing or testing out our bodies in terms of max efforts. Then we're going to do a little bit of math, and I have worksheets for everybody. And from there, we're going to test out some different cadences between our max effort and our steady state in order to see what that feels like, not only in terms of where our heart rate sits, but also internally, how does your body feel, right? Because especially during a WOD, you might not always have a wearable that tells you your heart rate on you, or you might be, instead of on a bike, on a rower or on a run. We can apply these elsewhere, and a lot of that is really based on how your body feels. So cool. Any questions? Awesome. We're going to get started by going outside. I'm going to have you guys give me a 200-meter run, then we're going to do some line drills, and then we'll hop onto our bikes. Norma's going to join us outside. You're good. Ready? There you go, girlfriend. Okay, give me a 200-meter run. You all good? Yeah. I had no idea that it was... You're good. It was literally, you caught like this much of it. I don't even know if you caught the whole thing or just like the flap at the bottom. What time is it right now? Okay, cool. We'll warm up pretty quick because then I'll have them do their steady state, and it's 5 minutes, so. And half of them just did mobility. Deshant, I think, is the only one that didn't do mobility. And Geraldine. So we'll do a few things just to get them a little more mobile. Okay. Thank you. I tried really hard to not sound like an idiot. I got nervous in the middle, but then I was like, okay, we're okay. Okay. Now that we're back onto the line, we won't do too much warming up because we'll be warming up in our steady state, but just to stretch out those muscles a little bit more, I'm going to have us do, I learned these as Shoe the Chickens, one leg bent, one leg straight. We can move over to the side as the van goes by, and then reach forward and get a nice stretch through those hamstrings. So kick out one leg to the side, and then reach down towards those toes. Just out to about here. Oh, it's beautiful out. Awesome. Hopefully a lot of you guys are feeling extra mobile after just doing mobility class. Oh yeah. I believe it. Okay, and then on the way back, we can just do some quad pulls, thinking about pressing our hip forward, squeezing our butt, and pointing that knee towards the ground. The more you press with your hip, the more you'll feel it all through that front of that quad and the hip. It was so close. It really like barely didn't make it, but it didn't. Good. Nice. And then on the way back, we're going to do some active Samson stretches. So big lunge, step forward, reaching those arms up and overhead. And then go ahead, take a few steps and switch. And then after this, we'll do one more stretch, and then we'll head on in and start our experiments, which is, I think, a better way to refer to them than just time trials, but it's all kind of the same thing. Okay. Okay. And then we don't really need to do steps on the way back, but if you want to come up to the wall for some balance, I'd like us to get into a figure 4 stretch. So you can cross right above your ankle, over right above your knee, and then just squat into it a little bit. You should feel a really good stretch in those glutes. Some of us have really good balance and don't need a wall. Very impressive, Amanda. I was like, whoa. Just to get a good stretch, just enough to get a good stretch. Most people won't make it to parallel, so I'm very impressed. Okay. And then we can go ahead and come on in. You can choose your bike of your liking. It doesn't really matter. A few tips in terms of finding the height for your bike. I don't know how many of you aren't aware of this. So one thing we want to think about is that at the bottom of my pedal stroke, my leg should not be completely straight. So if you notice right now, my knee is locked out. So this is definitely too high for me. So I like sitting at around 4, where at the bottom of my pedal stroke, if I was to push my heel down as far as I can, I have a locked out leg. However, with my foot parallel to the ground, I have just a slight bend. That's typically a really good place to be. We don't want to be too low where we're like biking like this, right? But we also don't want to be locking out our leg at the bottom of our pedal stroke. Oh, honestly, for this part, I would say it's preference more than anything. You don't want to feel really close to the handles, but you also don't want to feel too far away where you're hinging over. That has a lot more to do with like your arm length. I personally sit at 4 and 4. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to bike for 5 minutes at just a steady talking pace. Something that you can say hi to your friend, how's your day going? Something that if I said we're going to do this for an hour, you'd be like, okay, that's kind of boring, but okay, right? So it shouldn't feel taxing in any way, but it should feel like, okay, I might have to take a breath here and there between my conversation, but it's not stopping my conversation by any means. So let's go ahead and I'm not going to put a time on the clock. You guys have times on your screens, but go ahead and give me 5 minutes of steady states, talking pace. Talk to your friends, ask them how their job is going, what's up with their life, any new things going on. I'm going to throw on some music. Oh, I have it on. I just need to turn it up. Good. And this is all just steady talking pace.
Yeah. At what point, a minute in, when we start thinking about, oh, this is too fast?
Yes. Yeah, so that's a really good point. If you get about a minute in and you're like, ooh, I'm kind of tired. We have 4 more minutes, so take it down a notch. I want you guys to pay attention to the cadence number. If my screen is right here, it's this one. It should say RPMs, right? It's above our calories. It's this one right here. So that's telling you how many revolutions per minute that your feet are doing. Good. So just a nice steady state pace. Good. As we get to each minute in, I'll have you again, if you're not looking at it already, take a look at that cadence. I want this to stay relatively the same for this entire 5-minute chunk. But again, it shouldn't be something hard. So if early on you're like, ooh, 48 was a little bit too much, take it down to 45, take it down to 43. Good. On the feeling scale, this should be anywhere from like 1 to 4. It shouldn't really be uncomfortable. It should be more like boring. That's good if it's boring. That means you're doing it right. Yeah, I was gonna say, feel free to have a conversation. Ask somebody about their day. You guys should all know what your plans, each other's plans are for tonight. Okay, I'm gonna come around and leave the board.
Oh, those are good.
I'll flip them over so that way they don't. Good. Keep an eye on that pace. Keep an eye on how your breath feels. I'm just flipping them over so that way they don't blow away. It's not like a secret or anything. I don't want you guys to be like, oh crap, what's on the sheet? Good. Finding our happy pace.
I haven't been in the water.
Happy pace.
I went out to Mondo. Still nobody out there.
Good. We have about a minute and a half left. Good.
Once you're catching waves, constantly, Sea Street's a fun next step.
Are you learning how to surf? I need to learn. That's awesome. I need to learn. What are you doing? Wait, no, I'm ready for a Oxnard Movement Learn How to Surf Day. I'm in. Learn How to Swim Day, I will go for some support. Yes. Okay, we have about 30 seconds left for everybody. So as we're finishing up this last 30 seconds, I want you guys to really think about how your body feels. Is anything like, ooh, it's a little tight there, a little achy there, I'm a little out of breath? Should feel relatively good. But since we're gonna be focusing a lot on how our bodies feel throughout this entire experience, it's a good place to start here. Once you've hit your 5 minutes, go ahead and you can hop off your bikes for a second. I left you guys all with I'll borrow yours for a second, Deshaun. I left you guys all with a little sheet. So right now we're on part 1, steady state talking pace. So your average pace was around, that would be your cadence number, right? So I saw a lot of people anywhere from like 35 to 45 is gonna be where a lot of people hang out around. This felt, just write down how it felt for you. And then my heart rate was roughly. So what I'm gonna have you guys do right now is I'm just gonna have a running clock. And what you can do is just either, if you have a watch that reads your heart rate, that makes it easy. If not, go ahead and just find your pulse on your neck. Count your beats of your heart rate as we get to 6 seconds. And once it's 6 seconds, whatever number of heart rates or beats that was, just multiply it by 10, so add a 0. It's a rough estimate of our heart rate, just to get a good idea of where we're at. It should be nothing crazy. If we're like 150 right now, we did something wrong. Cool. We're going to do it a bunch of times, so this is like the first time. So wherever you are right now. Perfect. I want to say, the watches make it very easy. Okay. Once you have taken inventory, how did it feel? What's my heart rate around? And what your pace was around, we can go ahead and put our clipboards off to the side, and we're gonna get into some max efforts. What this is going to look like is we're gonna do 3 separate attempts at a sprint for 1 minute each. So these are slightly longer sprints, but then you are going to have 2 minutes of rest after it. So as we're going through this sprint, which now we're going to get really breathy, you should not be able to have a conversation. I want you to really look at that cadence. Our goal is to keep the cadence relatively around the same spot for the entire minute. Then we're going to have 2 minutes of rest. Then we're going to do it again, sprinting, trying to push our pace, max out our heart rate, and then we're going to rest, and then we're going to do it again. Yes? What'd you say? Yes, we're going to try to stay seated the whole time. You'll have another chance later on to do this, and if you need to come out, because it's going to be towards the end of this, absolutely. 1 minute. Yes.
Is this like last minute or wide type sprint, or we got more to go?
I would say I want it to feel like a sprint, but not so much that you're like, once I do this, I am done with my clinic, right? So we're trying to spike our heart rate. We're trying to sprint, but it's a minute. So this is our first trial at do I gas out at 10 seconds, right? But I want us to be really pushing ourselves. There's going to be times during this clinic where we definitely get uncomfortable, and then there's going to be times like sitting for 5 minutes in steady state, like, okay, you know, right? So this is one of those times where I do want us to feel a little bit uncomfortable. So, yeah, honestly. Where did the remote go? It's right here. So go ahead and clear your controls. If you just press stop a few times, if they didn't already clear, it should go 0. I'm gonna put 1 minute on the clock. Yes. Yep, so again, we're gonna be looking at that cadence number. So if you look at your sheet, each time we do this, we're gonna write down average pace was around, I felt like this, and my heart rate was like this. So when the 1 minute is up, first thing we can do is grab our heart rate, and then from there we can write down what our cadence was around as well as how it felt. And most people are gonna be like, it felt bad, right? Okay, so, let me exit out of this. We're gonna do 5 rounds. We're gonna do 1 minute, and then we'll have 2 minutes of rest. Okay, you guys, here we go. First round of max effort, starting in 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Thank you. Here we go, you guys. Good, thinking about stomping through those pedals, using those arms. Keep an eye on that cadence. Good, there we go, Caitlin, good. Nice, Karina, keep it right there. Good work, you guys. Here we go, Ash. Very good, Al. Almost there, keep on pushing it. This is where we dig deep. Here we go, Amanda. Good job. Here we go, guys, in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest. Okay, go ahead, get your cadence, get your heart rate, catch your breath a little bit. Let's write down heart rate, cadence, and then give me an idea of how we felt. Good work. Based on how all you guys look, you did that right. Good. Catch your breath. Slow down that breathing, some deep breaths in and out. And right there, just like that, we have our first data point.
Time. I'm gonna die? What is that? Is that
No,
normal?
that's not.
Oh.
Like a max heart rate is like, how old are you?
28.
Yeah, a max heart rate is between 180 and 200.
Okay, I'm like,
So like, no, that's like, that means that you did it right.
hell.
Yes,
It felt like hell.
there you go. No, you did that right.
Woo.
Okay, you guys, we have about 1 more minute of resting, catching our breath for a second, and then we're gonna do that again. In science, we don't do something once, we want an average. The more data points we have, the closer we are to the true result, right? The true average, the true number that we should be at. Yeah! That's right, I have a degree in engineering. Oh, in science, you do everything more than once because you want an average. It's more accurate to like the true value. Okay, guys, we have about 20 more seconds. Yes, reset your screens. Press stop a bunch of times. 10 seconds, and we're into our second sprint. Here we go, guys. In 3, 2, 1, go! We're pushing it hard. Here we go. Work to try to hit the same cadence you just did in that first round. Good Very nice, Deshaun. Keep it up. As those legs get tired, start punching harder with those arms. Good work. One foot in front of the other. Here we go, Amanda. You got this. Keep on going. Almost there, you guys. You get double the rest in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, rest. Here we go. Grab that heart rate again. Take a second to catch your breath. Let's write down heart rate. Let's write down what our cadence sat around for that round. And then let's write down how it felt. Could be the same, could be worse, could be better. That's where it becomes very individual, right? Unique to each person. If we're using our scale system, right, this is going to be a lot closer to a 10 than a 5. 10, for context, I wrote, I will pass out if I do this for another 10 seconds. So, somewhere closer to there than to it's uncomfortable. Yes, shake out those quads. If there's one thing about the bike, it's the quads, right? Shake out those quads, stretch them out a little bit. We got one more round, then we have quite a bit of more rest/math to do. And then we're gonna get into the meat of it, which is gonna be testing out new paces. Your watch said after one more round, then you can't. No, good job, you guys. We got 2 data points. We're doing great. I've been seeing some really awesome numbers. Heck yeah. Okay. Deep breaths. Slow down that breath a little bit. We're doing good. Here we go, you guys. We have 10 seconds. Clear that, clear that monitor. Hop on that bike. We are starting in 3, 2, 1, go! This is our last round of max effort. There we go. Keep it up, you guys. We're looking to get right around our last 2 cadences. You know what this feels like now. You know that you can get through it. You've already done it twice. Here we go, you guys. Keep on pushing. We are almost there. Good job, Amanda. Hang on to it. Here we go, guys. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Woo! Shake it out. Grab your heart rate. Yes. Now we know what it feels like to go very light and easy, and we know what it feels like to get close to our maximal, right? So now we're going to practice the self-discipline and control of working in between those 2 ends of the spectrum, right? So I'm going to let you guys catch your breath for another minute. And as we do that, absolutely, I'll talk about what we're going to do next. And then if you need a calculator, you can go grab your phone or whatnot. So what I have next in part 3, finding our ramp. So again, we're going to look at our steady state, but this time I want us to subtract 5 from the RPM. Then we're going to take the average of our 3 max attempts. And then from there, I want us to calculate the difference of the 2. So taking the average of 3 max attempts, subtract your steady state, and the difference of those 2 cadences is what we're going to then divide by 4 different rounds, and we're going to get a nice ramp that we're going to do. So again, we're going to do 3 max attempts, average, steady state pace, but subtract 5 from the RPM, and then get the difference between those and divide it by 4. What we're doing next as we ramp up our pace is we're going to ramp it up by whatever that number is divided by 4. So we're going to take steps. A good example of this is for, what? Yeah, right? I was going to say. So I'll give you a really easy example. If my steady state is around a 45 and my max effort is around a 75, for our ramp today, I would do 45, 55, 65, 75, right? So I'm going to do 1 round here, 1 round adding 10 cadence, 1 round adding 10 cadence, and then 1 round at my max effort again. The idea behind this is we're going to be at each of these different cadences for 2 minutes. And we're going to practice the discipline of sitting at that cadence, not going faster, not going slower. A lot of times when we're in the middle of a WOD, even if we have an idea of how we want it to feel, we don't focus enough on what the number is, and we can either feel too good at the beginning where we go above what our plan was, right? Or we can hold too conservatively and not have the discipline to say, I'm going to hold this number. So this is going to be as much a physical exercise as it is absolutely a mental exercise. Cool? So let's go ahead and start getting our numbers. Grab your phone if you need a calculator. If you are kind of confused on what to do, let me know, and I can help in figuring it out. And then we'll get an idea. Yes. Okay, so we have 40, so this is going to be 40. And then average of 3, we sat, so we'll call that one 68, 67, 67. So pretty much around, we're just going to call it 67, right? So that would be your average of your 3 attempts. And then what is 67 minus 40? It's going to be 27. And then 27 divided by 4 is not a number I can do in my head. So, okay, perfect. So, ready? We have 41 minus 5 is going to be, this is going to be, what's 41 minus 5? 39. 39, perfect. Wait. 36. 36, yep. 36, and then all of your averages were right around 63, so let's use that as our 3. And then the difference between 36 and 63 is, it's going to be 27. So 27 right here, and then 27 divided by 4. Was yours also? Oh, cool. So it's going to be 6.75. So now for our 4 rounds, so that's 6.75. So then now for our 4 rounds, so for you, you're going to start at 40, right? So the first one will be 36. Then plus, so next one you're going to be 47. Then plus another 7, you're going to be 54. And then last one plus 7, perfect. And then for you, it's going to be 36 plus 7 is 43. Plus 7 is going to be 50. And then 57. So what we're going to do now is we will do 2 minutes on, 1.5 minute off. First one you'll hold on to 40. Next one you're going to hold on to 47. Next one you're going to hold on to 54. And then the last one you're going to hold on to your last one, which is 61 or 57.
Okay.
And the idea is going to be staying on that number. It's kind of like a game. How can we stay on that number the entire time? And then we're going to start to have a really good idea of coming out of this. You might be like, yep. So coming out of this, you might be like, oh, whenever I have a buy-in of 50 calories, 54 is a great pace for me to hold. Or you're going to be like, there's no way in hell, 47 is mine, right? So there you go. So this will also play around with like in longer ones, right? Because we're going to hold it for 2 minutes, which is definitely a little bit longer. So where, like, if you're holding 63 for like 12 calories typically, then it would make sense that for this, you're going to be holding a little bit lower. You know what I mean? Yeah, cool. Okay, how are we doing over here? Do we all have an idea? Awesome. Good, that looks good. Awesome. 40, 45. Beautiful. I think that'll be perfect.
So I'm kind of lost place.
Yes. Okay, so 27 divided by 4 is about 6.7. Somebody else had 20. A lot of people have 27.
6.7.
Yeah, as their difference between their fastest and slowest. 3 people just had it. That's really interesting. Okay, so your first one is going to be 38. And then plus 7 is going to be 45. And then plus 7 is going to be 52. And then 59. So about 60. Cool. So what we're going to do we all have our paces? Okay, so now that we have our paces, what we're going to do is I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock, then we'll get a minute 30 to rest each time. And so for the first 2 minutes, we're going to hold our pace number 1, which should be the steady state minus 5. Again, it's going to feel pretty easy, right? After that, we're going to do the same thing as we felt before. What's our heart rate? How do we feel? Then after that 1.5 minute of rest, we're going to go and hit our second pace for the entire 2 minutes. At the end of that, what's my heart rate? How do I feel? We're going to do the same thing for pace number 3 and then pace number 4, which should be close to, but not exactly, the max effort that we did previously. Since we are holding it for 2 minutes, right? We're not going to do our max effort for 2 minutes because I understand. I have done this entire clinic myself, so I know how it feels. And then, so again, for each of these, we're taking the data of, hey, what's my heart rate around and how do I feel? And then as we come away from this, we have a much better idea of, in a bike WOD, if I'm biking for 12 calories, where do I want to sit in my cadence? I want us to all come out of here being more strategic in terms of where we choose our cadence and how we attack any sort of movement, which whether it's biking, whether it's rowing, you can apply this to any of them. If you have an idea of what your cadence feels like in one spot, you can pull back and think about it for extending that amount of time or increase how hard it is for the sake of if it's a shorter, more of a sprint type effort. Everybody have a good idea of where we're starting? Okay, we're going to do 2 minutes at our talking pace minus 5. This is pace number 1. Again, this is one of the parts of this clinic where you're going to be like, this is kind of boring, but different types of uncomfortable, right? This is a exercise for your brain right now to force yourself to sit in a spot that feels too easy. So then later, we force ourselves to sit in a spot that feels too hard. Okay, I do have some songs that are based off of a 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 cadence. So you may be a little bit below or a little bit above the song, but since we're holding on for 2 minutes, I thought I would make it a little more fun and give you guys some tunes. Yeah! We love tunes. Okay, so let me exit out of this. We're only doing 4 rounds, not 5, don't worry. Oh, no, don't start. Exit. Select 0, 2, 2. And then this one's going to be 0, 1, 1. 30, if the thing works. Beautiful. Okay, we are starting in 10 seconds. This is our easiest cadence. So this should be our slowest pace. 3, 2, 1, go. Slow pace gets slow song. So again, if you start going above what your pace is, slow yourself down. You can sing along too. I love that. There we go. This is all about the mind game of staying at a single cadence. Thank you for just hanging out with me. Thank you. No, I feel like it's good. I'm happy. I belong with you. You belong with me. You're my sweetheart. Good job, you guys. Staying right at that pace number 1. it might have been. Took a bus to Chinatown. Good job, you guys. We have about 30 more seconds. Take inventory of how your body feels, right? We're about to get our heart rate and we're about to write it down. You can't go wrong with the Lumineers. Here we go, guys. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, rest. Good job. Okay, grab your heart rate, write down how you feel. And especially for those folks that have a wearable and track their heart rate all the time, this is great information to have in terms of, hey, when I push myself here, my heart rate's around here. Because there are times where we're like, I feel incredible right at the beginning, but if that heart rate starts spiking, that's a good sign of, oh, well, last time I was at this heart rate, I did not feel incredible. So, right? It's a really good way to constantly have an idea of where we're at. Okay, we have about 1 more minute, and then we will start our second pace. Yes, just like holding a fast pace is hard, holding a slow pace is sometimes just as hard. It's brutal to be like, oh, I mean, this feels silly, right? Good, okay, awesome. Yes, yeah, right? It does feel better the longer it's going. Yes, I did also make sure we could flesh out the legs a little bit during this. I was well aware about those max efforts and what they would do to our bodies. Okay, guys, we got about 10 seconds. We are on pace number 2. Remember, we are fighting to hold it exactly there the entire time. 1, go! This song is a 50 cadence, I believe. There you go. As I did that, I was like, oh, I still have all my tape on. Here we go, you guys. Pace number 2. The game is how much of this 2 minutes you can keep your cadence exactly spot on of what our goal is. Yes, Caitlin, very good. 47. Very good. We're killing it over here. Good job, you guys. What's your cadence? No, you're at 45 now. There we go. We're on number 2. Here we go, guys. We got about 30 more seconds. Let's see. 42? Yep. Nice. There we go. Great job, you guys. Here we go, guys. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, rest. Good work. Grab that heart rate again. I'll leave Shakira on a little bit because it's a good song. Because it's a great jam. We got lots of good songs in here. Awesome. Nice and smooth. I like it.
Yes.
Good, good. Okay, we have about 1 minute of rest more, and then we are going to be on to our third cadence. This is probably going to be the one where you're like, oh, okay, a little bit more serious now, right? This is probably going to be that one. But this cadence I want you guys to specifically think about this one in terms of some of our longer efforts in CrossFit WODs, right? When we have a buy-in or when we have a cash out, especially when you're already gassed out, when we have a cash out of like 50 calories, this cadence might be a really good target for us, right? It's something where we're not really close to our maximum effort, but we're also not at a cadence that is almost, if we were fresher, easy, right? It can help in terms of the discipline there. Okay, 15 seconds. We're on to our next song, which is another banger, you guys. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. This song is a 55 cadence. Nice. Right at that 61. Perfect. Good, Karina. 54. We are killing it on hitting these cadences. Good job, you guys. Beautiful. Very nice. Get back to that 49. There we go. Yeah. Starting to learn what it feels like to slow down by 1 RPM or to speed up by 2. We're finding that new spot. Good job, you guys. As we get to the second minute, it turns into discipline right here. Keep stomping those feet, moving those legs. As the legs get tired, the arms work harder. See you later. Good job. Here we go. We got 30 more seconds. Fight to keep that cadence. You know exactly what number should be in that cadence box. Make sure it's the right one. Nice, Karina. Here we go, Jalen. Good, Al. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Good work. That one we got a little bit more breathy, right? Definitely not as easy as those first two. Good work, you guys. After this, we have one more cadence. As we have minutes to rest, feel free to walk around, shake out those legs. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow down that breathing.
Question.
Yes.
So this still feels all pretty good. What if, like, I think maybe I went too easy here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
For this one then, I want you to hit, you were hitting 50?
Yeah, like I was trying
I
to.
want you to hit 60.
Okay.
Here we go. We got 40 more seconds. Yeah, let's do that. I think that'll be good.
Because it was hard to keep 49.
Okay, perfect. Then this will be good. If 49 was like, okay, we're pushing it a little bit.
I would like look up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm at 52. So now
Yes, let's do, yep, good. Yes, absolutely. The mobility class was a plus. We got 15 more seconds and then we're on our last round. Here we go, you guys. I have a song at, I think, 60 cadence. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The man here joke, so you gotta get loose with the Henny and the Coke. 3, 2, 1, girls wanna have fun. If the man don't dance, he's done. Tell him move on,
Get the man gone. Now, can I get some cookie in my rum? There we go, Ash. Good. Very good. Someone's car alarm is going off. Here we go. This is our last one. Dig deep as we hang on to this cadence. Awesome, Karina. Good job, you guys. There we go, Amanda. Hang in there. You're doing awesome. Good, Deshaun. Here we go, you guys. Jump through that pedal stroke. Dig deep for this last 30 seconds. This is where it becomes mental. We're making it all the way to the zero. We're not stopping early. We are all capable of this. Here we go. 10 more seconds. Give it what you got. 3, 2, 1. Rest. I'm so sorry that part. Oh, well, now it stopped. Good job, you guys. That should be how breathy you feel after that one, right? That was the one that we got closest to our maximum effort. Good work. Okay, I want you guys to write down your heart rate. I want you to write down how that one felt. That one might be another one that you just write like hell. And then we're gonna go ahead and step outside for a minute. We're gonna cool down a little bit and we'll wrap it up and talk about it. Good job, you guys. That takes a lot of not only self-awareness, but self-discipline as you go through all those different cadences. Real close to my face right there. Good work. Sorry, I move a lot. I move a lot. You can probably also hear me singing through some of those. You don't need to bring them outside if you don't want to. If you're like, oh, I want to look at this some more, feel free. But otherwise, we're going to go outside. We'll just cool down a little bit. We'll start off with doing 100-meter walk. Then we'll just stretch a teeny bit. Just bring down that heart rate slowly, not too quickly. So we'll start with just a 100-meter walk. And as we walk, we can talk.
You do it now.
Right? Great job, you guys. The wind is picking up. Good job. So definitely as we think about coming away from this clinic, I hope that you guys walk away having a better idea of what different cadences not only feel like, but a better idea of what cadences are right for you. You can take this exact clinic structure in terms of looking at max efforts and in terms of looking at steady state, and you can recreate it with any piece of equipment that we have here, right? Thinking monostructurally, you can look at working through the same idea with a rower or with a ski erg. You can even do it with running. Running, you'll look more at distances, right, instead of cadences, but then you can take your paces or your times at the different distances, right? So a little different with running, but as you go into future WODs, hopefully you'll have a better idea of not only where to be at, but how better to attack the WODs from a pacing standpoint. I think a lot of times we underutilize the data that's right in front of us, right? When we have our WODs, when we have our workouts, we may not be specifically looking at our cadence the entire time, but going in with a game plan, especially one that will keep you from gassing out, is always going to be much more beneficial than not, right? So we can go ahead and stretch a little bit. We'll go through some of the same line drills as we finish. We'll start stretching out those quads because I know that we need it. What did you say? I was going to say, if you can get them there, take some time, hang out in it. Yeah. The bike will do it to you. You guys all did awesome. So thank you for coming and joining me. I know it's not the most fun clinic, but hopefully you feel like you got some value out of it. Absolutely. I think they're going the other way. Oh, they're going the other way. Okay, cool. They're going the other way. As well as we can take some time here, if you don't mind going onto the ground, getting into a pigeon pose to stretch out that glute and that hip a little bit more. Ooh, the ground is warm. There we go. Feel free to hinge forward, sort of melt into the stretch. Good. And then go ahead and switch sides when you're ready.
We talked about this already with doing this with other with really anything. You
Yep.
can do it with kettlebell swings, you can do it with box jumps, you can do it with burpees, and kind of get a good idea of like how many reps of something should I steady state do at any point. And that's a good baseline for your strategy for your workout.
Yes.
If I know how many box jumps I can continuously do, no matter what, in a minute or in a 30-second period, I'm going to be able to attack workouts with a better strategy instead of thinking,
Yes. Feel free to
I
stretch
don't
out
know,
this
here
way.
we go.
Yes.
You're like, what am I doing?
You're like, I've made multiple mistakes.
Recovered.
You know, for like the workouts where it's like every minute on the minute, right?
Yes.
Let's say I did like 6 power climb,
Yes.
and then do 5 burpees. What pace would you use?
So I would say if it's something where, oh, the question was if you have a workout that's EMOM style, but it's more than just a monostructural, right? So we said like if it's a bike and burpees, like what exactly like pace to use. So I think there's two parts to that question. First of all, a pace that you can hang on to for however many rounds, right? Typically when it's EMOM, it'll be like 10 rounds, 15 rounds. So if you're like, hey, I can hang on to a 70 cadence for 3 rounds, then that's not the right pace, right? So part of it is gonna be what is the WOD asking of you in terms of number of rounds, but then the other part of that with an EMOM, since you do have built-in rest, and then you do have another movement, I think it also comes into, I like to personally choose, if there's 2 movements, I like to choose one that I'm gonna use as my sprint or my really big push, and one that I'm gonna use as my I'm hanging on type thing. So for example, like I am very comfortable on the bike, whereas my burpees are not super fast. So I would choose a cadence that's gonna be a little bit faster on the bike because I know I'm gonna lose time on my burpees. Now, on the opposite side of things, if it was a ski erg and toes to bar, which I'm not very comfortable in the ski erg, but I am more comfortable in my toes to bar, I might choose to hold on to a slightly slower cadence that for the toe or for the ski erg for the sake of pushing it on the movement that I'm stronger with. In terms of looking for time that, because I can maximize my amount of time that I get to rest in an EMOM if I strategically choose my strength to be where I push myself. Yeah. But on another day, if I'm like, no, I really need to work on my ski erg, I'm going to push it and just do whatever with the toes to bar, then I'm intentionally choosing maybe to have less rest in order to work on my weakness. Yeah. I think the biggest thing looking at WODs is to have, yes, we have an intention in terms of like the stimulus. Is it a sprint? Is it something that's a lot longer? But within that, and this is where it gets very like individualized, thinking about, hey, if there's 8 movements in a WOD, I can't work on all 8 movements, right? So what's gonna be the one where I try to get better at? For me, a lot of times when there's push-ups in any WOD, because push-ups are something that I am continuing to work on and hold on to bigger sets where I don't have to drop down to my knees. If there's a WOD with push-ups, I will challenge myself there to go closer to RX and scale back elsewhere for the sake of challenging myself with the intention of working on my push-ups. So like being strategic as like what is my personal goal within this WOD?
Yeah.
That's a really good way to look at most of the WODs. Yes. Yeah, the more thought that goes into like your personal goals and how you can align that with what's going on in the class, I think the more you'll get out of it. Bye, great job. Yeah, we're all good if you guys are good to go. I was just sitting now. Absolutely, you guys did awesome. I hope that you guys liked it, even though it's not fun. I hope you like feel better out of it. Yes. Yes.
Heart rate subjective.
Yes.
So